A warm welcome to all the panelists, Dr. Sarma, Dr. Prejit, Dr. Malik, and Dr. Kumar. I am Kushi Jain, the Senior Exchange Officer of IVSA India. And on behalf of IVSA India, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all in our event VetSetGo, Get Up for the Future. In this event, we hope to reach a large number of veterinarians, a large number of students, as well as the ones who are aspiring to get admission in veterinary colleges so that they get a nitty-gritty of all the things that we require to become an ideal veterinarian. In this segment, we will have a panel discussion with the small animal veterinarian, large animal veterinarian, wildlife veterinarian, and a One Health veterinarian. I am very thankful that they took time to be in our event. Anushka?
Hello everyone, a warm welcome to all of you, and we're very grateful to all our panelists. My name is Anushka Advani, a third-year student of Mumbai Veterinary College, and I'll be moderating today's session along with Kushi. I am also the secretary for IVSA India. Before we begin this event, it's pride and honor to present to you SEVA, Students' Endeavor for the Welfare of Animals. This is a small step by IVSA India to contribute towards animal welfare and be a helping hand to the needy. In this campaign, we give the platform to one deserving student who is constantly going out of his or her way, be it a pandemic, to help out the needy strays, feed them, and provide them the required treatment and shelter. These are individual students who, without any support, keep working day and night just for the welfare of these stray animals. With this campaign, we hope to provide this need so that they can continue working for this noble cause. I would like to introduce to you one such student, Hunar Goel from IVSA Mumbai. She is a third and has been endlessly working for the welfare. From feeding to treatments to fostering, she does it all. We would like you to hear her story and contribute towards this noble cause. We will now be playing a short video.
My name is Hunar Goel, and I've been doing a lot of treating, feeding, and fostering since the lockdown began. As the lockdown was imposed and we all were confined to our houses, there was always a prick at the back of my mind that, oh God, who are feeding the strays? And also giving them belly rubs. Initially, I used to feed 10 to 15 dogs, which increased to more than 50 in a span of 2 months. I feed them dog food with milk and sometimes rice with chicken, and also leftover veggies to cows and bulls. As a budding veterinarian, I vaccinated puppies with 9-in-1 primary plus booster and 85 plus dogs with anti-rabies. Gave first aid up to my capabilities, did regular health checkups, and also with the help of Paravet treated TVT cases on the spot. Females with mammary tumor were treated with surgery, and after post-op, they were released back to their area. Horrible accidents like this spinal fracture, leaving no hope for the female to be releasing back to her area, was sent off to an amazing NGO called Earthlings Trust. Arrive on the location and see the condition of the baby. Take the baby to the veterinarian. As you can see, it's a complete fracture. Decide to go for surgery, which was preferred a pinning surgery. Get the pinning surgery done. Cost a lot of money. A month of post-op care. And then release back to her mommy and her sister. It's an amazing feeling. To prevent such horrible accidents, I put reflective collars on all the babies. To prevent stealing of reflective collars, I tied zip tie around their collars. Further, gave collars to all the babies around my colony as well as other streets. Some were scared, but some were also okay. Also sent 15 to 20 females for spaying, which were released back to their area after a 5-day post-op care. It's amazing to see how they come back to their families. I also fostered during this lockdown. This is Coffee, my first foster, which I house trained, leash trained, and got him adopted to a beautiful family. This is Nimbus and Stella, sleeping together. which got adopted together at a loving home. This is Cheddar, a cutie boy which got adopted within a span of a week. This is Pingu, who's still looking for a home and probably going to get a broad adoption. This is Sugar, which after a month of suffering from feline infectious anemia is finally okay and ready to play. Cases like fractures, fostering, treating, vaccinating, post-op care, medical boardings, operations, surgeries cost a lot of money. Because of donations, I'm able to clear all these bills, that are surgeries, bandaging and dressings. Either it's pinning surgery or a mammary tumor surgery, feeding the dogs, taking care of all the antibiotics and medications with collars, dropping, picking, drips, x-rays, all require a lot of money. And I'm only able to do it because everyone donates, everyone helps, and is my forever support. I hope you can help me save more lives by helping me with donations and crowdfunding. I hope to get 40 to 50 females spayed of a new sector and also to take care of any case that comes forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Hunar, for sharing your video. This is such an amazing initiative from your part, and you undertook such an amazing thing under the lockdown. We all urge our viewers to please help Hunar and support her selfless service to the welfare of the strays by donating whatever little that you can. We are all really proud of you, and you have inspired us for the good deeds to do in the future. For all the details to donate to Hunar's campaign, please look in the description box below. Anushka, we are starting with introduction of the panelists, so you
Thanks,
can
Kushi.
begin.
It is my pleasure to introduce you to our esteemed panelists for this session. Our first panelist is Dr. Pawan Kumar. With humble beginnings, Dr. Kumar started Cessna in 2005 out of a small space in Indiranagar, Bengaluru, with the intention of making veterinary care at par with human healthcare. A year prior, he traveled to various cities around the world like Malaysia, Singapore, and South Korea, veterinary care establishments techniques that they had to offer. What began as a veterinary practice run from a rental room in Indiranagar has grown into a hospital with 5 branches, 3 in Bengaluru, 1 in Gurugram, and 1 in Mumbai. Dr. Pawan, a veterinary surgeon and chief medical officer at Cessna Lifeline Hospitals, is now a well-known name in Bengaluru. He completed his bachelor's in veterinary sciences from Chaudhry Charan Singh Haryana Agricultural University, Hisar, Haryana in the year 2000, and his master's in veterinary surgery from Veterinary College, Hebbal, Bengaluru in 2003. Dr. Pawan ranked second throughout India in the ICAR Junior Research Fellowship exam. He was also the recipient of the Best Young Surgeon Award in 2003. With the aim to take Cessna to newer heights, Dr. Pawan aspires to start more clinics, reaching out to smaller cities and towns, a research and development center for veterinary care, and possibly a veterinary college in the future to pave the way for standardized and structured methods for teaching aspiring vets in the country, thus taking veterinary education to greater heights. Sir, we are great to have you with us for this event. Our next panelist is Dr. Praveen Malik.
Thank you.
Dr. Malik currently holds the position of Animal Husbandry Commissioner under the Government of India in the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Dr. Malik graduated in veterinary science from GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar in 1990. He completed Masters in Veterinary Bacteriology in 1993 and PhD in Veterinary Microbiology in 2003. During graduation, he procured University Merit Scholarship and Vice Chancellor's Bronze Medal for the third best graduating student. Further, he was awarded with junior and senior research fellowships from Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. In 2008, he received fellowship of reputed National Academy of Veterinary Science, India. He has more than 22 years of research experience as a veterinary microbiologist, having worked with several species of animals, including equines and wild ungulates. As the principal scientist at ICAR, his research included the detection and monitoring of several diseases like glanders, equine infectious anemia, strangles, etc. He is the ex-in-charge and coordinator at Veterinary Type Culture Collection (VTCC) and the former director of CCS NIAH. His areas of research interest include infectious diseases of livestock and wild animals, including the diseases of zoonotic importance, and advocating for the implementation of One Health. Sir, we are honored to have you here.
Thank you, Anushka.
Our next panelist is Padmashri Dr. Kushal Konwar Sarma. He has graduated from College of Veterinary Science, Assam Agricultural University in Khanpara, Guwahati in 1984. He obtained master's degree and PhD in surgery and radiology. He is known for his services in general and elephant in particular, and the governor of Assam has given him the title the Elephant Man of Asia. He has attended over 700 elephants in a year, and of over 3 decades, he has a record of 140 subconjugations of rogue elephants to his credit. Lead of vet team in the ambitious rhino translocation program of Assam and UP. Has 28 national and international awards. He has traveled extensively for wildlife issues worldwide and has served the international and elephant expert in Indonesia, acted as a guest lecturer in North Carolina, New Mexico universities, and has over 150 research papers, 13 books, and over 100 popular scientific and wildlife adventure stories. He is currently the HOD of Surgery and Radiology. We are very thankful for you to be here, sir. Our fourth panelist is Dr. Prejit. He is the officer in charge of COHEART from the inception of its year in 2014 and is still in continuing the holding in charge of Department of Veterinary Public Health. He has the PhD of Veterinary Public Health from Indian Veterinary Research Institute, IVRI, Bareilly. Dr. Prejit is the recipient of various awards such as GP Sen Endowment Award, the Best Research Paper Award, the Young Scientist Award, and he also has received various international levels of grants on various short-term assignments in Turkey, Nepal, Scotland, Spain, and many others. He has secured Outstanding One Health Surveillance Award during the annual conference of International Society of Disease Surveillance held in Colorado, US. He is one of the founding members of South Asian One Health Disease Surveillance Network. He has guided many MVSC and PG diploma students and has published several papers and research articles in the journals of national and international repute. He is in the editorial board of several journals. Dr. Prejit is the course director of PG diploma certificate courses of One Health offered by the Veterinary University in POOKODE. We are very thankful for you, sir. We are very thankful for all the panelists to be here. Now, let's begin the event.
Yes, without further ado, so we'll start with the discussion, and we have questions that have been provided by the viewers. So the first question is, what was the turning point in your life that got you into the industry? If we could start with Dr. Sarma. Sir? Sir, you're on mute.
It is unmute. I couldn't hear your question because of some audio disturbance.
So
Can you repeat, please?
Yes, sir. What was the turning point in your life that got you into this field?
The turning point, it's difficult to say because the time I joined the master's degree in surgery, actually my professor, Dr. Subhash Chandra Pathak, was my guide as well as a leading wildlife veterinarian of that time. I mean, at the year 1984-85, like that. So I started as an intern, following him to the fields, and during those days, there were over 2,000 captive elephants, mostly engaged in logging activities in and around Assam. So lots of clinical cases were there, particularly surgical cases, logging injury, fracture, abscesses, like that. So every weekend, I used to follow Dr. Pathak and go to the field. And in that process, from an intern, gradually I become a self-dependent surgeon. And in a way, the turning point came actually in the year 1996, sorry, 1994. The first time I have used the tranquilizing gun to subdue a rogue elephant. That elephant named Manik, he was killing many people in Arunachal Pradesh in a small place called TP. So he was a logging elephant. Then he developed mast, broke his chains, and he started killing his mahout, then some other villagers, like that. So till then, this tranquilizing system or using a remote injection system was not practiced in wild animals in this part of the world. So I also had no formal education, but I tried hard. I learned from the references, from the books, and after some trial, I mastered the drug delivery system. And the very first attempt at subduing that elephant was successful. And the subjugation of Manik was definitely a turning point, because that was the beginning. And since then, I went on. Until now, my tally of subjugation of rogue elephants is 140, which is a world record. Then, of course, the same technology I have used for the rhino translocation program that I did in Assam, in UP, as well as in Bengal. So a lot of activities. And then I'm happy to say that now the tranquilizing system has become a mainstay of the wildlife management practices. And everybody is using it. My students have mastered it. So definitely subjugation of Manik in the hills of Arunachal Pradesh was a turning point in my life.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Prejit, could you tell us about your turning point?
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I'm honored to be here in front of you all. Thank you, IVSC India, for inviting me. Now, coming to the question, yeah, regarding the turning point of my career, what I would like to say is that I actually was having a inclination towards veterinary public health right from my undergrad days, and I joined the master program in veterinary public health at veterinary college in Thrissur. Then I got admission in PhD program, and actually the turning point happened when actually I got a veterinary surgeon job in Kerala, and that too at my hometown. And there was a situation wherein I have to decide to go for a veterinary surgeon job or continue my PhD program in IVRI. It was a tough thing because getting a veterinary surgeon job is considered to be very prestigious because we need to have many protocol of selections. So I have to think either through my brain to join a veterinary surgeon or through my heart to continue my PhD program in IVRI. After a long thought and discussion with my parents and other things, I decided ultimately to continue my PhD program. And that's of course a great turning point, because even before completing my PhD program, I was able to get a faculty position in my own hometown in Kerala, that is in Veterinary Public Health Department of College of Veterinary Animal Sciences, POOKODE. So probably if you could listen to our heart, that's always a better thing, because what profession you love to do, you always have to opt for that particular profession. Thank you.
Dr. Kumar, would you like to continue on this question? What was your turning point?
Thank you so much for giving an opportunity to speak here and convey whatever we have done so far. So when I talk about my turning point in my career, that is in small animal practice. So there are actually the two very important turning point came in my life. The first thing is, which is like I think many of the student, and being I was from a village, a farmer from Haryana, so I joined veterinary practice, and veterinary college actually in first year. Though still my inclinations and interest was toward becoming an MBBS and doctor actually. That's what my interest that time. So in first year, what happens? So actually that we, and I think you all students, you know that. So we have to have anatomy practical class, and where we have to study, about the bone and muscles and skin and everything. So it's so happened with us that, so we had an anatomy practical class, and we had to sacrifice 4 buffalo cows for that part. Now, and for some reasons, that was a Tuesday when we supposed to do that. And Tuesday is a kind of auspicious day for North Indian, and that attendant or assistant who was supposed to do the job, he didn't do that. And he said that, so then our professor and teacher of anatomy, Dr. Gurdal Singh, he asked that, is any one of your students who like to do this part? Because otherwise our anatomy and the practical class could have been delayed, and we could have been a semester late or something. There was some kind of problem that time. And I still used to study for MBBS, preparing for these PMT and other things. though I joined veterinary, kind of medicine that time. Now, so like a kind of something like over enthusiastic student or something, I raised my hand, and then I told I will do that. But the procedure for sacrificing those 4 buffalo cows was actually horrifying. What we need to do is we need to basically euthanize them by giving him overdose of that chloroform. So we need to let them inhale, and then we need to give a kind of incision onto the jugular vein, and we have to bleed them to death, and formal saline has to be fixed inside so that they don't get spoiled or petrified, so we can study them for longer time. So with whatever courage or something, with the help of that attendant, I have sacrificed those 4 buffalo cows, and I have not basically seen blood and this kind of thing in my life before that, not so close view I have seen actually. And after doing the procedure, I was feeling quite guilty. So there is a sense of guilt, and lots of things were running in mind that time. And I used to do meditations, and I still do that. So I do meditations every night, and this is kind of thing was killing me, that those 4 buffalo cows has sacrificed their life for us, actually, for studying all students and all those things. And this is not good if I only think about becoming MBBS. And I think they have given their life for us. So then couple of nights I couldn't sleep, and then one day I decided, I sat down and I thought very well, and I meditated that I will not think about MBBS now, and I will stop studying about that, and I will dedicate my life toward the veterinary healthcare and veterinary practice actually. And that was the day then I decided that I will become a proper veterinarian, and I will dedicate my life to veterinary. And that is the day when I became very serious. In fact, normally, if you know that the clinics start for the student in the final year or when they do internship, but I started going with one of my friend in the first year itself. So I just was observing them, how they handle large animals and all those kind of things. And I started observing that, and then I became an assistant there. So I started actually veterinary kind of clinic visits and helping them and other things from the first year itself. And that brought a lot of change in me. And by the time I passed out veterinary, in fact, I did a kind of determination and a kind of commitment to myself that I have killed 4 buffalo cows. Before I pass out, I will save at least 40 lives. But I don't know how many I saved before when I passed out. Second important turning point came in my career was, so I basically resigned from government job, a central government job and other things. Then I was working for animal welfare organization in Bangalore. And I always wanted to do a research in clinical medicine and clinical surgical aspects. So that's what used to be so then I earned some money by visits or whatever I could have. Then I visited a few of countries, and with the interest that I will get a job there or they will give me a chance to practice. But unfortunately or fortunately, they actually kicked me out, and I did get a chance anywhere, whether it's Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, or wherever it is actually that. So then I came back, and then I was thinking seriously what to do. So shall we just think about continuing some like regular veterinary practice and veterinary job and in government job and other things, or shall I do something else? But then I start, because my interest was always into the healing sector, actually into the clinical research and clinical sector, surgical, and developing new whatever technique, because veterinary practice in India is absolutely primitive, even so far, if I say that. Then one night I said, because developed countries, whether you talk about USA, UK, Germany, and all those countries, are Singapore, these all are already developed. They really don't need a kind of industrialization there. But India is a country which actually need veterinarians and dedicated veterinarians to do a change and bring a change overall, to do a proper makeover for the veterinary practice. And I thought, and I decided that whatever it comes, I will develop this clinical sector in India, and I will dedicate my career about this part. And then I started with a small practice, that is a 120 square feet area I started, but I had already decided that I will grow this actually, and I will take it to whatever height I can, and with the grace of God and with the great support of the staff and everything. Actually, that's how I started with a one person, that is me. Then one assistant came, then other doctors joined, and then slowly from one person became five became 50, and 50 became more than 130 staff we have now. That so this is became a very important second turning point to decide that I will practice in India, because India needs actually makeover for veterinary practice, because developed countries are already developed quite a bit and we are lacking behind. Our animals and our dogs and cats and those need the way Dr. Sarma and all they are doing it, because this is to think about, it's something small, but the way he has brought it up, this whole concept, it takes lots of energy and effort and dedications to do that. And I think this is how I brought it into the second turning point. So this is how I can probably narrate my two important turning points to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Malik, would you like to go now?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Dr. Kushi, Dr. Advani. In fact, it's a pleasure to talk to the young fraternity of students. Once again, we are going into the college days. So it's really wonderful. In fact, regarding my turning point, I'm still waiting for a turning point in my life. In fact, when I joined veterinary sciences, frankly speaking, I was hoping to get into the engineering stream, but by single 1 mark difference, I could not enter, and I chose this particular department. And the day I chose this particular fraternity, my feeling was not to go anywhere, not to do anything else, because I belong to a farmer family, and from the very beginning, from the very starting, I was into animals, and particularly the large animals. So my feeling from that point of time, considering my education stream, the kind of interest I have got, and then I had seen my brother studying biochemistry and other things, molecular biology. He was doing PhD in molecular biology at that time. So what I decided was like, I have to get into this particular science, the microbiology, and would learn about the wonderful world of microbes, quite different and quite helpful to us. It's not only diseases, but it's also understanding the whole system to support our body, to support the complete ecosystem. So I started learning that, entered in my master's and my PhD. In between, I had jobs, this thing. But somewhere, because of some pursuance from my teachers, I left my first PhD in between, and I entered the field of wildlife. 3 years I was working with free-ranging wildlife and again pursuing the same microbiology field in wildlife. And then for a search of regular job of my interest, I entered the field of research in microbiology with ICAR in 1996. And since then, I have been working with the microbes. In fact, I studied biochemistry, biotechnology, and other associated subjects along with microbiology. But the fact remains is that the conventional understanding of microbes, their behavior, their ecosystem, it helps a lot in understanding the whole process of disease and the whole process of how you can mitigate or prevent this disease, or maybe treat this kind of thing in animals or humans alike. It's no different. And I 100% and definitely agree with all my co-panelists, especially Dr. Prejit, who says like you have to go by your own passion for this particular science, and then talk about what you want to do, and then probably you are going to deliver the best. You have heard Dr. Sarma, you have heard Dr. Pawan. They were talking about this. They had a passion for a particular field. So it's not important whether you are going into microbiology or going into surgery or going into practice or going into a different kind of field like Dr. Prajit in One Health. It has to be your passion. It has to be like when you want to have a definite change in your life to become a veterinarian with a passion to deliver in the field where you actually expertise. So I'm still, frankly, waiting for a turning point where I'll say, yes, this was the turning point and I want to go into this particular field. And all of a sudden I came into this. No, it's a slow transition from what has been happening. But the only thing I tried, and I was not only trying in my past, but also I'm still trying to deliver my best. Whatever I have got the capacity, I would like to put it into this field so that I can excel into. And this really came true when I was working with equines as a scientist in microbiology. I was working on glanders, and I have seen people talking about this deadly zoonosis, that people were not willing to even touch those animals on those days in 98, 97 when I saw the first cases of glanders. So, like even my colleagues were quite afraid of this particular disease. This can be contracted to humans. So I took a challenge and said, like, okay, I'll do this something. In 2006 onwards, when I saw a huge surge of this particular disease, kind of re-emergence of this disease in India, and I could see the need for a diagnostic. We could develop a diagnostic indirect ELISA and other things, which can be used not only in India but throughout. That continuous effort yielded a result, basically in terms of I was recognized as an expert by none other than the OIE, World Organization for Animal Health, and I was given a chance to basically interact with the scientists in World Reference Laboratories in Germany and Dubai. These are the two laboratories of OIE, and I interacted with them. And fortunately, when we saw our progress and the kind of science we are performing, I was really very happy, because previously what people are thinking that we do not have that kind of opportunity or that kind of feasibility to conduct that science or that kind of practice. Definitely, we have got a different system. But to tell you, based on my exposure to different countries, to different forums in the international arena, including OIE, FAO, WHO, that Indian scientists, Indian veterinarians are doing really good, really wonderful, and they can excel in their field without any issue. So, like the only turning point which I can say is basically my passion to this particular field and entering into the field of microbiology to come to this particular position. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. The next question is for Dr. Kumar. So, is it better to go for specialization in some aspect or of clinical practice, or is it better to be a general practitioner?
Okay, so when we think about the clinical practice, so for a beginner, for a person like who is starting the career, ideally, yes, he need to be. So there is, when you talk about the growth or anything, there's always a ladder actually. So where you have to take first initial step, and that's what is very important to become a general practitioner or general physician, because that will basically give you the path. You know how different kind of cases are coming, different kind of situations. And because when you think about a veterinarian, so he deal with the clinical problems with the different animals and different kind of variety of animals. Along with that, he deal with lots of managemental problems also, which is could be from the client, from the staff, and everything. So to become a general practitioner or a general physician or general clinician, that will be my first advice, that you should first master in that, and then you focus to become a specialized practitioner. And I think this is how it is, because if you're directly jumped into a specializations, then you will not know the basics of general practice, and then you will not be able to get that success and that growth which you're looking for. And I think that should be the path. And the first you focus on becoming a general physician, and then thinking about specialization. In India, at this moment, really need specializations, because there is a small animal practice or large animal practice or equine practice or wildlife practice. All these are developing it quite a bit, and I think this is very, very important time that where specialization should take over. Actually, that like in human, if you think there is so much specialization, and now they're thinking about super specialization, and we are still thinking about specialization. I think we should be much faster in this approach, whether it's orthopedic, whether it's oncology, whether it's a ophthalmology or cardiology, or everything has to develop it. But I think general practice is the base, and that's a very important foundations which you should focus, and then specialization. So that's how I probably will request all the students should think and plan for their future.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is for Dr. Prejit. Which are the various pathways to get into the field of epidemiology or public health besides giving the ICAR examination and opting for a master's?
Yeah, okay. So if you want to opt for veterinary public health and for course, I think other than the conventional field where you go for ICAR and the master program, I would suggest that there's one particular program which is called as International Master Degree on Infectious Disease and One Health. Now, what's the specialty of this program is that this program is actually offered by 3 universities. One is University of Tours, which is located in France, then University of Barcelona, which is in Spain, and Edinburgh University in Scotland. So definitely, when you there are total 24 seats in this particular master program, and the added advantage is, of course, you are going to go for an international program, and you can see 3 beautiful places. France, which is very beautiful place. This University of Tours is very near to Paris. Then Spain is, of course, another beautiful. All these places are your accommodation is taken care by the funders. The scholarship is provided for that. And for this, of course, there's a GRE and TOEFL exam, and nearly total 24 seats are there. So naturally, there's currently probably in 2 to 3 years, there is no Indians who has actually gone for this IDOH program, Infectious Disease and One Health. So I will suggest this is apart from the conventional programs, this could be one option. And another options which could be of interest for you is the Commonwealth scholarships. Okay, we have certain Commonwealth scholarships which can be opted by in offering courses, especially in the distant mode courses, which is being offered in Royal Veterinary College for MS program, MSc in Veterinary Epidemiology and Public Health. This is also a very good course and all, because when the recruitment and all takes place through a series of process, and if at all we get to know more about this program, and if you are going to join this program, this would be a very good option, right? So apart from opting for master's program in conventional colleges, after BVSC, I think you can go for this 2 type of courses if you are interested in public health. Thank you.
Khushi, just to add to what Dr. Prejit has suggested, we have got 2 wonderful programs. One is from offered by University of Massey, this Massey University, New Zealand. They are really specialized in this public health and epidemiology field. At the same time, in India, apart from the conventional colleges, we have got Institute of Public Health and Hygiene in Kolkata. They are also offering veterinary public health and epidemiology courses.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is for Dr. Sarma. Sir, is the need and the scope for wildlife veterinarian and like a wildlife medicine and management more in India, or is it more in abroad? And if somebody does not want to do masters, what are the short courses available after the BBSc degree?
Uh, Kushi, that is a very good question. Actually, if you mention about the scope, highest scope exists in India, but the scope is yet to be formalized. See, we have 160 government zoos in India, and even if you take an average, so every zoo will have to appoint two veterinarians. So there are over 300 zoo veterinarians posts. Number one. Then there are a couple of private zoos, recognized zoos. They also engage veterinarians. They pay very highly, and even there are about 50 positions for zoo veterinarians. Then, like every state in India, have national parks or wildlife sanctuaries where they have positions for veterinarians, particularly in the those where they have the captive elephants like that. Or in the past, the wildlife management revolved around the management of the ecosystem, management of the park only. But now a more invasive type of approach is being followed. And in this, the veterinarians have become most important component in wildlife conservation. Now, there are certain problems also. The problem is the veterinarians are appointed in the zoos or national parks in a rotational basis from the animal husbandry department. So in that situation, nobody looks for their specialization in wildlife science, or whether they have a master's degree in wildlife or a diploma in wildlife. Nobody bothers. So there is a position for veterinary, say FBO, forest veterinary officer. An officer comes on a rotational basis, stays there for 3 months. He starts with zero knowledge, and by the time he learns something, it is his time to leave his position for another. So this is a big problem in India so far, and I have been fighting for establishing a veterinary cadre in the forest department, like just like IFS, Indian Forest Service. So I am fighting for an Indian veterinary service in the wildlife department, in the forest department, so that a continuity will be maintained, and the young people will come with degree, with skill, and then will be appointed. There will be provision for their promotions and all that. So this is a big problem right now. Talking about the degrees, many veterinary colleges have master's degree in wildlife science, like to start with the Madras Veterinary College, then the Jabalpur Veterinary College, and many other. Now I think about 15 veterinary colleges have a wildlife department. In Kerala also we have wildlife department. The problem is, after getting a degree in wildlife science, the scope for appointment for the students are very limited, because their only job is maybe they can get a job in a veterinary college if they start a wildlife department. Otherwise they have to go back to the animal husbandry department. Even like the scope for getting a job in a veterinary college get limited, because the wildlife departments are not there in every colleges, and the positions are also very limited. Like one college will have two positions, another college have maximum 3 positions. I think in this only Jabalpur, because they have an institute, they have some more number of positions. Otherwise it is very limited. uh, the IVRI has a diploma in wildlife science, which is a 9-month diploma. Then interested veterinarians can also get into a diploma course offered by the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun. But you must remember that Dehradun Institute is not a veterinary institute, not an exclusive veterinary institute. There is an Institute of Wildlife, other sciences as well. A veterinary department is there, and manned by 1 or 2 persons only. So the veterinary expertise will not develop. So that is the present situation in India. But if you talk of the other foreign countries, like they give very good salary and the working conditions are better. And as some of my friends in the panelists, they have mentioned that the working conditions are good, expertise is there in foreign countries. Yes, I agree, they have. But then getting a job in a foreign country is very difficult. It's not that easy. We have a master's degree, MSc in wildlife science, is there in the Royal Veterinary College in London. So that is a good course, but pay structure is very high. But I have seen some of the students who got degree from there did not get like corroborative job. The amount of money they spend, it's not like. And moreover, see, the type of wildlife we have in India, if you go for studies in London, you do not get similar type of wildlife, and your expertise is limited. But we have tremendous scope here in India because we have the highest variety and density of wildlife. For example, a couple of years back, there was a mortality episode of the gharial in Sambal River. Now, when explored, we found that in the whole of the country, we don't have any veterinary expert in the crocodile. So we had to, the WWF India had to bring veterinarian from abroad, from London, I think, who is to charge 1 lakh rupees in those years, like 10, 12 years back, 1 lakh rupees every day during his stay in India. So we need to focus in different spaces, and expertise is required to be developed. But at the same time, we have to convince our political system so that this expertise can be actually engaged for the welfare of our wildlife. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So,
Here also, Anushka, Kushi, I don't know. Can I jump into
yes,
it?
sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
In fact, what Dr. Sarma said is very, very right. We need to formalize the whole system and develop a separate cadre for the forest wildlife veterinarians. In fact, wildlife veterinarian, there are a number of positions, but unfortunately, the growth is not good. If you enter the forest wildlife veterinarian in any forest or zoo, you start with the same position and you retire on the same position. So basically, to have a growth, a kind of development in that, we need to have a formal kind of cadre, and that cadre can be brought into by the administrative system from the administration. And probably what I'm thinking, because I was involved in development of this wildlife health cooperative in 1993 to 96 when we were working on this particular aspect, and we could initiate 5 departments, including that Madras Veterinary College, Jabalpur Veterinary College, Anand, Guwahati, and Hisar as the regional centers for developing this wildlife science education in formal way, so that other colleges can be developed into this area. But developing these things, including that 9 months diploma, either from IVRI or from Wildlife Institute of India, this WII diploma is basically meant for IFS officers only. And that's why it has a complete set of systems, including biology, management, extension, and others, and very less thing on veterinary subjects. In fact, basically, probably it is going to be the Veterinary Council of India who has to propose these kind of cadre changes in different systems, and has to be pursued politically and administratively from throughout the sectors. So probably these education institutions who are basically coming up with these degrees, including the Jabalpur Center, IVRI, or Madras Veterinary College, which are basically kind of leading centers in wildlife science. Probably if these centers can take lead and pursue the government in bringing that particular thing, and support what Dr. Sarma said is fight against the system in bringing the cadre in a more formal way, that is going to help. And probably if we can, we'll be able to create a cadre. It's a wonderful field and has got tremendous opportunity, much more opportunity than what foreign countries can provide. And in India, probably you see the diversity of wildlife, the kind of factors and kind of features you have to look into. Probably we have got wonderful scope and wonderful scope of veterinarians beyond our imagination, because it's not only 160 zoos or kind of 15, 20 parks and other areas. We definitely need number of more colleges, more veterinarians, probably in thousands other than this. And when we need this kind of cadre is there, there will be departments who can really offer formal degrees in that also. Right. Thank you.
I
Thank you,
want
sir.
to, Prajit, I want
Yes,
to
sir.
add to your happiness that in my, because of I pursued, the government of Assam has decided to establish a national institute, uh, Assam Institute of Wildlife Health and Research. This will be unique in this region, not only in India, but in the whole of the Southeast. I don't know some other Western countries if they have it. Assam government has already earmarked 200 crore for establishment of this Institute of Wildlife Health and Research. There will be different 4 or 5 departments, like clinical department, the diagnostic department, then forensic department, like that. So this is going to be a unique institution, and future generation of veterinary students can look forward to this institute, because here also we are going to give master's degree in wildlife health and research. And then I am on my own capacity, I am taking it with the India government. I have already written, because I'm a member of the steering committee of Project Elephant. I am also in the committee of Central Zoo Authority. So I request Dr. Malik sir to also use his position, so that, and of course rightly, the Veterinary Council of India, we must put our pressure so that the government of India decides for a veterinary cadre in wildlife department. And that will really create a very good opportunity prospect for our veterinarians. And at the same time, the veterinarians will be able to serve the actually purposes of wildlife health in a much better way.
Yes, sir. Totally, we all agree to that. The next question is for Dr. Praveen Malik. Sir, for a large animal veterinarian, do we always need to associate ourselves with the government, or can we do it as freelance? And if we can, what kind of instruments do we need, and how much finance would it take to set up the large animal farm practice?
Khushi, a really very tricky question to answer straight away. In fact, when you're talking about large animal practice, you have to understand the husbandry practices in India for large animals.
Yes, sir.
Unlike canines or felines or the companion animals, we have a wide distribution of big number. Right now, because you have to provide at least 3 kinds of services to large animal sector. Basically, they comes into the breeding sector, the nutrition, and the health. In fact, when we are talking about practice, we generally talk about the health practices, or at the most AI system. So it's not only AI or the health, but also the complete overall productivity enhancement for the large animals. Right now, almost all the services in this sector for the large animals, for the productivity, when we talk about livestock, the farm animals, it's basically government supported. And if you want to have a semen of a specific minimum standard, you need to approach a government farm, a government semen station, a government embryo transfer lab, a government in vitro fertilization lab. It means everything is basically governed by the government sector. And probably when you go into the private sector as a practitioner, you need to depend mainly on those particular factors from the government side. But yes, as a freelancer, you can start practicing in this particular field with lots of energy. But unfortunately, what Dr. Pawan has said in the beginning, it's really not easy for one to get into kind of surgery or a specialization from in the field, because you need really a hefty amount to be to incur on the setup of either kind of radiology or surgery unit, or even for that matter gynecology unit, or even for that matter any other thing. But as a physician, a general physician, probably yes, it is easy, and you can start without having much of your equipment at a very low cost. But this is basically kind of a general practice, and I don't see a sustainable future in this, because you have to compete with the government sector, where lots of subsidies and lots of support is there. So what I feel is large animal practice is largely governed by the government sector, and has to be there to support the poor farmers in an organized sector, so that their growth can be can be seen in a positive way. And we can start talking from bringing these farmers from the poor system to a kind of a prosperity into this system. And that's where we see that a large animal practice in India is largely going with the government sector only.
Okay, sir. All right, we all got it. So the next question is directed toward Dr. Prejit. What are the different opportunities sought after by the graduates holding an MVSC degree in VPE in India?
Oh, well, there are in fact tremendous opportunities in veterinary public health degree. To make it in short, we can, I'll go from the top level. You can also check for various positions which are available in OIE, FAO, WHO, USDA, CDC, etc. Why I'm saying this? Because we always need to aim at a higher angle, because in positions in OIE and all, they are all, we need to have an exposure towards them. Say, even recently, I could see that there are some position of disease status officer, which has been called for by OIE, and they actually call for veterinarians, but they should have an experience in epidemiology and public health. So naturally, what this subject, that is veterinary public health, has a tremendous opportunity wide over the globe. Now, coming to the Indian scenario, we have not many openings, especially in coming to the central government, the ARS system. You can be a scientist in veterinary public health, and we can also go for joining in food safety, that is Central Food Safety Officer, which is in that's a branch of Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. Of course, it's open for all graduates, but we as a veterinary public health can definitely prove ourselves a good. In many of the component, we can prove our capability in dealing with many of the standards, food safety standards. Then when coming to the state government, we can go for State Agriculture University as an faculty position, which is what I am currently. Then we can also, even in state government, we also have this food safety commissioner department, and there also you can many of the veterinarians are into food safety department also in Kerala. Then we can also join as a meat inspector. Then in government sectors we have many slaughterhouses. We can opt for meat inspector position. Then these are all the conventional and important positions which generally we hold on. Apart from that, you can also try for entrepreneurship. We can start your own programs like ABC or ARB programs. Then you can also go for developing a new diagnostic lab itself. You can start your own journal house also. You can also go for some private companies. In way of completing public health, they don't stay simply alone idle at home. They join even private firms, we have NGOs like REACT. They offer some positions for veterinary public health graduates. Then we have many food safety and quality assurance positions are there in many firms, private firms. So all these are tremendous opportunities which you can explore once you complete a public health degree. So scope is wide, I can say. Thank you.
Thank you.
A wide variety of opportunities. The next question is for Dr. Pawan. So what are the extracurricular activities that we can do in our UG to get into MVSC colleges in your field?
Yeah, so when we talk about what are the extracurricular activities which we can do, so as a student, when I probably talk about the clinical practice, see, there is a lots of things which, when you are a student, you have an opportunity to, I think, whether it's NCC, mountaineering, or there are so many other extracurricular activities that is definitely very important and required for your overall growth and development and all those. But when you're thinking about the clinical practice, then I think the first extracurricular activity which I will advise that if you're for a student, because there was a time, when we were the student and maybe uh, that time, so we just joined in some kind of field, and then once we pass out, that time we start thinking about what we need to do in future. So the first my request would be there to the student when they when they go to the first day to the that any kind of stream or any institute, or whether you think about the veterinary practice also, they should have their future plan properly planned actually from the starting itself, because this is how you can dedicate your 5 years and you can dedicate your career and everything from that perspective. And there are wonderful teachers and professors, though they can guide you regarding this part, and I think they should have a little more open-minded about different aspects. So the first thing which is there, that they should have a good plan actually. So this is something which I will request every veterinarian. The mistakes which we did, you should not do that. You should not plan after you have passed out actually. That means when you have cleared your MVSC and other things. The other thing is, my request would be there is early joining the clinic. So that actually that so for a BVS student, the clinic starts only in the 4th year or 5th year. So but if someone is thinking about making a career toward the animal practice, maybe small animal or whichever practice, because see, all animals are almost same, the principles are almost apply same, but healing will be almost same, maybe some kind of faster than slow, but at least you can go to the clinic early actually, like first year or second years, with the request of your professors, teachers, and your senior. And I think senior is the best who can help you in this kind of thing, because what happens when you go early, the most important thing which you do there is observation, and observation is the first teacher. And any practice, whether it's or anything, the first thing always start with the observation. So by the time you come to the 4th year or 5th year, that observation class is already you have finished it. And second thing about any practice, the next step goes is always assistant, because if you go to the early clinic and early practice and other things, in the sense like 2nd year or 3rd year or something, where you will be like, if you're going regularly and very persistent in that part, I'm sure your professors and teacher will keep you as an assistant. And I think that is the wonderful thing if you can start. So working as an assistant with your professor and teachers, that will give you the another one opportunity to learn much more about the clinical sector, because this is a science of more of observations and hands-on practice. And I think you are getting this opportunity by going early to the clinical practice. And the other thing which I can probably tell you, that the way that girl's video they have shown here, that she is this veterinarian and she's treating lots of stray animals and other things. So like this, in every college sorry, and in every city and college, there is always some kind of animal welfare organization works. When I give my example, like I started in first year itself to grow the clinic, and that has made a change. And my seniors been and my teachers been wonderful to help in that part. In fact, I started doing rheumatology in 3rd year and 4th year, and that is something is not good to tell at this platform, but with the help of those teachers, we were doing it because they were helping in all aspects actually. The second thing comes about is about organization. Like I joined an organization, Blue Cross Society actually there. So similarly, there'll be lots of another animal welfare organization. So this is good that you are giving to the community back. And second thing, you're learning also at the same time. So it's good that another extracurricular activity you can do, join some animal welfare organization and be an active member in that part, because that will give another path to you there. And another thing which I can kind of very seriously advise you, and which has helped me, one of my batchmate, he was also working with me, and the great approach which he always had, so like which he taught me, in fact, if I say that way. So he's a very good friend of me, and what he used to do that, like, so he So any case we see, and then we go back and we read actually. Though our pathology and other things or clinical medicines and all those reading will start in the 4th year, but we started reading it in 1st year and 2nd year. So any case we see, maybe like maggot wound case we saw, a fracture case we saw, or a mule. So then what happens in that? We start reading about that. So case-based study is in a very important, another things which you can inculcate from the starting itself, and which will like any case of maggot wound, you say go there, read the literature, read the book, and you will go into the clinical mode actually. That, and that coming into the clinical mode is very, very important thing for that. And I think if you can do during this time, and this I probably request every student, whoever is hearing and listening, this is the time, if you're thinking about the clinical practice, the most important thing which you need to connect with the animal and spend time with dogs, spend time with cats, spend time with large animal, cows, buffaloes, and other things. If you can connect yourself to the animal, this is the most important step, because then you will have the path further. And I think this is the time which you can utilize, and this is the most important extracurricular activity which you can do during this time. And these are the some simple things which I can tell you, that which can going to help you if you're thinking about the clinical practice, whether in any large animal, small animal, wild animals, equine, or anywhere actually. That, so these are general rules which applies everywhere. I think that's what I can suggest to you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. The next question is for Dr. Malik. So what are the additional courses that a veterinarian has to take in order to become an equine veterinarian, since advanced science in this field is still picking up in India?
In fact, frankly, apart from one diploma offered by IVRI through RVC, the Remote Veterinary Services of Ministry of Defense, there is no specialization regarding equines as such in formal education. But as rightly pointed out by Dr. Pawan, it's not about which species you're going into, but the only thing is the passion to learn, passion to understand the things, and to basically acquaint yourself with the species you want to go into. In fact, when I started my career with wildlife and why I started my career again in equines, I felt there is not much difference. The only thing is, when we say we have to go into the clinical fields, we generally tend to forget or tend to ignore the non-clinical fields or the paraclinical fields, including the anatomy or the physiology, or sometimes even pharmacology, and mainly microbiology and pathology. But to tell you the truth, in fact, if you want to enter into any of these fields, say into the clinical practice, you need to have a basic and sound understanding. In case you want to go into surgery, Dr. Pawan will be agreeing to me that in case you are entering into surgery, you need to have a very sound knowledge of anatomy with you along with the physiology. So probably that kind of combination. So just don't ignore anything. Be passionate about your species you love to enter into. And formally in India, there is one course only. Abroad, you can have lot many other institutions. The best one in India is with the Kentucky University. This is Kentucky State University, that Equine Research Center with Kentucky. Otherwise, when you enter that field, you have to start working and understanding the differences of this species with all other species, and probably with that basic understanding of your system in either medicine or surgery or gynecology, you will be able to perform really very well.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. The next question is for Dr. Sarma. What is the scope of being a wildlife vet in terms of financial stability, and what in your practice has been more beneficial, working in the government sector or for private NGOs who work for wildlife?
This is a good question, because many of our enthusiastic wildlife enthusiastic students who want to make a career of wildlife veterinarian, they I have seen many of them putting their future into a difficult situation, because out of the adventurous mentality or to be a wildlife veterinarian, they have actually damaged their career, because I told you that the requirements are there. Like altogether, if we combine, there will be at least 450 to 500 positions for wildlife veterinarians in the whole of the country. But these positions are filled up in a different way. Like even if you have a degree and you are desirous to go and serve the wildlife, you may not have a chance. So either I can categorize in three right now. One is the doctors who are working in the zoos on deputation basis coming from the animal husbandry department. Number two is the NGO vets. And number three is vets like me who are working in educational institutions as professors or teachers. And then from their position, they are giving their expertise. So these three positions are there. And honestly speaking, probably my position, that is a teacher, a professor in an institution working for the wildlife besides his normal duty, is probably the best in terms of career option, because I have an assured my wages from my university, and I have a good position as a professor, and then it gives me the liberty or leverage to go and help the wildlife healthcare issues. The zoo vets, I already told you, or wildlife vets, they get rotated 3 years, 4 years. Hardly there will be 10 veterinarians who are being persisted with. Dr. Malik sir also has mentioned that promotion opportunity is not there. So they will start and retire in the same position if they do not move out of their position to go back to their animal husbandry department. They cannot forego promotions. So when they get a promotion, they have to go. Then NGO vets, unfortunately, the NGOs are not paying nicely, and you have very limited scope. You have to work very hard, but you don't get remuneration in accordance to your service. So overall, the situation is like this. That is why until and unless a cadre is created, our veterinarians are going to suffer. So sometimes it gives me pain internally when my young children, the students of India, they show their enthusiasm. They want to follow us. I say, you are most welcome. But son, you have, or daughter, you have a problem like this. If you are lucky, you get a job in a college. Then if your college authority is supportive, or you can pursue them to support you, or the wildlife department, you have created such an aura around you that the wildlife department or the authority comes looking for your assistance, and your authority supports you. So, a lot of issues are there. Like, honestly speaking, like these 35 years of my career with wildlife, it has not been smooth sailing. It has not been a red carpet welcome. From the very beginning, I tell you, I have been discouraged. I have been always discouraged by various my colleagues, my seniors. They always discourage me. No, you cannot. Like, instead, you go for large animal practice, you will get a lot of money. Here, the wildlife is not giving you anything. Like, it is the internal desire to serve, and so you have to forget the monetary considerations, and you have to be ready to move through the hills, and you have to make yourself physically fit for all. Like, you must be able to swim, you must be able to climb trees, because don't have facilities. When I mentioned that I have darted 140 rogue elephants, I also failed in some cases. I have darted many wild elephants for treatment and surgery. I have darted rhino. But what the adventurous or like the romantic scene you see in Animal Planet or National Geographic, these are from Africa, not from India. In India, I do not know how we work. We have to walk miles and miles, and we have to go and dart those animals on foot. And while in this type of procedure, our life is at considerable peril. Now, I am giving you only one example. That is what we work in the field. Now, when you get a sample, suppose there is an infectious disease, you bring the sample. You will not find a laboratory who supports you, who gives you, a report. then not to talk of the imagings or other diagnostic support that usually you can use for companion animals. It's extremely difficult. So right now, only the enthusiasm in us or the desire to serve, that is only making us move. But that field is still very raw, I must say, very raw. But as Malik sir has said, there are diversity, lot of wildlife, so prospects are there. Unfortunately, when the government will realize that yes, the veterinarians can really contribute immensely towards conservation of wildlife through the healthcare sector. They are the people who can prevent an epidemic. They are the people who can treat an injured animal, a precious animal. A losing gene they can save. So in various way, the veterinarians the wildlife veterinarians can help protect the species. And when this realization will come, then only our condition will be better. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Khushi, can you hear me?
So the next, yes, sir, we can hear you. So, sir, the next question is for Dr. Prejit. The concept of One Health is very new in India, and could you tell us your pioneering work that you did and just shed some light over the obstacles you faced as you are the torchbearer of this One Health in India? And also, what are the preferred college for MVSC in VPE in India? What would you suggest?
Fine. Okay. Right. Yeah, but in true sense, this concept of One Health is never a new concept in India. We have a Praveen sir here itself. I think sir will also agree with me. I'll just go to the history way back in 2005. When we had the whole world had a threat of avian influenza virus. So our DADF team, that is which currently Praveen sir is taking care of, they have developed an action plan even before we had the first case of avian influenza in India. So in 2005, we had an action plan for avian influenza. At the same time, when we had action plan for avian influenza, since this disease also occurs in human beings, the Directorate of Health Service, which comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they have developed a contingent plan for managing human cases of avian influenza. So when the first case happened in Navapur in February 2006, we already had this action plan and contingent plan together. So actually, in true sense, this is all what we call as One Health. And in fact, in 2007, when there was an interministerial conference at New Delhi, our then Prime Minister actually said that we endorse the concept of One Health, which should be an integrated approach for controlling of avian influenza and such threats like that. So because we have already had a base on One Health and that has been endorsed by top level officers also, what we thought that to control some threats like zoonotic diseases and all, which always occur not only in humans, not only in animals, but also in wildlife. So there is a spillover of organisms from wild animal to domestic animal and ultimately to human beings. But we don't have currently any platform, that is way back in 2013 I'm talking about. We don't have any platform where all these stakeholders or all the professionals can come together and discuss on these emerging issues. So to provide such platform only, we had designed, that is the university has designed a curriculum on PG diploma called One Health, where we allow the MBBS, all health science graduates to take part in this particular course. And when they come and discuss, then we can come out a more improved strategy for control of such diseases. So during the curriculum development workshop, we called upon public health experts all over from the India and other parts of the world also. And as a recommendation of this course, curriculum designing course, they said that we need to have a center also which actually dedicates to One Health, okay, so that the concept can be propagated to wider audiences. So that's how this COHEART, that's a Center for One Health Education, Advocacy, Research and Training, came into being in the year 2014. So this COHEART actually works for education. That is, we have the heart shape logo if you see in our website. So it stands for the education. In education, we take courses on diploma as well as certificate courses in One Health as well as community-based disaster management. Then we go for advocacy. In advocacy, we go for certain trainings and certain We commemorate on most of the days and other things, and wherever possible, we undertake various events. Okay, and research also, we undertake some researches. Our PG diploma students, as well as we also have some research projects which are currently being undertaken. Now, coming to the second part, and that is a very tricky question. I think you have asked, like, which is an best college for MVSC degree in veterinary public health. An unbiased answer, I'll say, of course, it is our college, but yeah, actually, it is all based on the students' interest, because we have many colleges, and almost all the faculties which we have in our country in veterinary public health, they are all learned and very good expert. And if you can blindly choose any other college in India, I think it will be always a great thing. But two things which I like, since you asked the questions, two things I like to suggest on is that try to take courses in for master degree not from the same college which you have taken your BVSC program. It's only because whenever we try to explore new areas, new states, we'll get to know more of the culture, we'll get to know more about, we'll develop more and more contacts. So, like, for example, I did my BVSC from Pondicherry Veterinary College. I did my master's in Kerala. Then I went for PhD in IVRI. If I don't get assistant professor here, I would have gone for postdoc somewhere outside India also. So always try to explore more and more areas. Then second thing, if you are saying that this college, if you serve, please tell me one college where I can go for research. Again, it's my personal opinion, but I'll say that IVRI is very good faculty in veterinary public health. We'll be very much comfortable in studying our master course there. But since I'm not having any exposure to other colleges, I can't comment much on other colleges. But I say that if at all you're interested in one particular field, say suppose you're interested in food safety aspects, then your Bombay colleges, I think, have done tremendous good work in food safety, like pesticides and other residue detections in food. Likewise, Chennai College is doing good work in zoonotic diseases. Many colleges not have, so it's again based on which area you are interested to work. And the last thing, of course, some colleges offer scholarship for master degree program. So if you are going to look into the scholarship part, you can again look at that part also. So yeah, this is what I will suggest for veterinary college. But definitely, if you want, you can come to veterinary college POOKODE. We'll be there to always help you. And it's one of the beautiful campus in India. Okay, it's very beautiful. Thank
you. Sir, I'm sure most of the students will now come for POOKODE. So now our next question is for Dr. Pawan, and it is now related to how to set up the clinic. So the students want to know that how do we choose the location for a clinic, and is it better to rent a place or just to give lump sum money and rent and just invest in the real estate rather than renting it? Also, how many rooms are required for a starting clinic? Like, how many rooms do they need for a clinic who has just been set up, and what kind of equipments will be required?
Yeah, thank you. So when we think about starting the practice, like for any new veterinarian, so it depends upon, so it's many things depend upon whether he's doing a part-time or whether he wants to do it as a full-fledged, and plus many things depend upon. So it's a little difficult question to answer, but I'll try to kind of justify as much as I can. The first thing, as I mentioned to you, so it depends upon whether he wants to do as a full-fledged part-time or he wants to do with the association with someone. And then sometime, people, and many time I have seen the veterinarian, they have 2-3 ideas in brains. Okay, this doesn't work, then this will do it. Okay. So means how much dedicated he's there for his dream and all those things. So these all things are more primary important thing before opening the clinic actually. So he should be having a good plan and thought process and determinations and all those. And of course a research is required, about in whichever, like, so it depends upon whether he's going into small animal practice or large animal practice or whichever. He need to have a research for that area. That is very, very important. He need to personally visit, meet veterinarians, discuss with them, see about, if I give an example of small animal practice, then he should see what kind of clients and practices and all there in surrounding area. So that's basically becomes a preparation. Then now your other question, which you asked me about the location. See, location is very important when we see, because most of the people and client, they always feel that if the clinic can be nearby to their home and they don't need to travel so much. So vicinity plays quite an important role. And location, so they need to be very particular about which location they are choosing. It should not be like in a very crowded commercial area. It should not be in a dense area which is like residential area, because otherwise people might, the neighbors and everyone can have a problem with him, because dog barks and urine potty and all those smell and everything and cause issues. So I think the best area which I can suggest to you, and if possible they can get it, where there is enough parking space, there is a little bit of space around where they can have, and it's a kind of connecting area between commercial and residential area. So they should keep these kind of thing in mind. And the very important thing, they should do a research, which if I think about small animal practice, which location and locality has a more small animal clients actually. So I think they can go nearby to that. I think this need some kind of homework for them. So that's a primary thing which they should think about. Second thing comes about is which they asked about whether rented or buying a property and then doing it. It all depend upon how potential that person and how futuristic he is. But I probably will suggest you that it's always better that you should plan initially for a rented place, because that's an experimental zone for you. And because that will give you confidence how your business is picking up, how successful you are in that. And once you have at least an experience of 3 to 5 years, then it is worth and wise to think about investing into property. So I think initially I will always suggest you that you should think about rented place, because for God's sake, some kind of situations which can come from the neighbors, because you really don't know from where the problems can come when you come into practice. And if you have invested a huge amount of your budget and everything into the property, then you have very less chances to move out from there if there is a situation come. And I probably will advise you that if you're thinking about the property and then enhancement, another thing, then different thing. But if you're thinking about the practice assets and business assets, then it is more important that you invest that much money, which rather than investing into the property and buying and real estate and other thing, rather than you invest into the equipment and medical thing actually, because and bringing more services to the client, like whether it's a diagnostic, it's a laboratory, or it's a surgery, or maybe ancillary services which are equally important. So I think rather investing into the real estate and buying a property, you should invest into the other services create, because that will give you a better business boost than anything else, and that will give you a confidence and I think success further. Yes, once you becomes a little successful and comfortable, then I think you can invest into the other things. So I think that's how your plan should be there. So start with the small and multiple services and then you can grow it further. Then comes about the room part, which you asked, how many rooms are there? Again, it depends upon his future and his plan and other thing. But I think you should have minimum 2 consulting room where you can consult to a doctor. You should have a treatment area. So that's another room which is required, because consultations can happen in one area. Then a waiting area is required. So that can be associated with your receptions and other things, but it can be a separate area as well. Then comes about, if you are a surgeon and you are doing surgeries, another thing, you need a surgery area of a comfortable size. Then of course you need an area for diagnostic and X-ray. That's another area. Then it depends upon whether you want to hospitalize patients and you want to keep them in house and other things. So that's another area which is required. Then apart from that, yes, you should have a good reception, and I think it becomes a part of veterinary business in India, particularly when I say that, because alone by doing a practice, you will not be able to sustain, because just by clinical practice, sustaining your business is absolutely difficult. So you should have some ancillary services along with that, like maybe a pharmacy or pet shop, so that you can, because getting the pet supplies and other things from different places is not very easy. So you can have that along with that as a room. And apart from that, it'll be better that if you can think about some pet spa or grooming and other things. So that's another service which you can provide to them. So because you will have some inflow of cash and kind of financial to your business, so you can sustain yourself. So I think it all depends upon planning how many rooms you need. But these are requirements which I'll tell you. But certain things are not important for you, like diagnostic you don't want to run, or ultrasound or X-ray you want to take or outsource to some other help. So you don't need those room. You don't want to run the grooming, so you can take it away. You don't want to hospitalize in this in your practice. You probably have association or tie up or some kind of coordination with some other practice, and you want to do that. But I think it's all depend upon how big you get the premises, and then you can divide into that part. So that's how I think I will give a suggestion for planning. So go for rented place, make it successful, and then invest into the bigger project. And probably rooms and other things depend upon how potential, and it depends upon your specialization. Like if you're not a surgeon, then don't invest initially into the surgery room or something, because that will be a huge investment. And equipments and other things all depend upon your specialization, what you need, whether you need X-ray, whether you need ultrasound, anesthesia machine, and patient monitors, and different diagnostic setup and other things. That so that's is my opinion about starting as a beginner's practice actually.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very thorough. And now our next question is, do you recall any funny story or any moment while working in the field? You, Dr. Pawan Kumar and Dr. Sarma, these are for you. Like, you have been in the field since so long, since so many years of your practice. Do you recall any funny story?
So when we talk about the funny story, I think every day is filled with the fun and frolic when you are in a small animal practice, and I'm sure in wild animal there'll be much more than that. So but being initially I was practiced in large animals, so so there is so many are there, but maybe if you really want to say, probably I can tell one thing is like when I was student in my master's, and that's in Bangalore Veterinary College. So our teachers and we had a kind of a project which is running in Bannerghatta National Park for running the we supposed to neuter lions there. Actually, I don't know what was the idea behind that. Maybe that some pedigree issues or something. So we went. So every Wednesday we used to go to Bannerghatta National Park to neuter lions, and then plus we did quite a bit of almost 19-20 lions we operated there actually. Of course, with the help of our professor teachers. So first time when we did the lion surgery, and that experience was kind of, so we given him ketamine, xylazine, and other things into the squeeze cage, and then we thought he's got anesthetized, and that is many years before, I think anesthesia was still weaker in those years actually. So we anesthetized him, and then we shaved his scrotal area and started insane. So we were very excited and read actually that, okay, so all 2-3, me and one my colleague and my professor, so all three we started doing surgery actually then. And so, so as we gave incision, so and so as my teacher gave incision, and that lion got up and he brought a loud roar actually that, so I think our almost circulation stopped. We were all red before, and once he made a loud noise, then we almost became white actually that. So I think that is one story which I always remember actually that this happened. And of course there are lots of others, so but anyway, because you have limited time, but otherwise we can keep talking about this for days together to tell those story. But I think that's one experience where that was a real scare. We thought, okay, so we thought all gone inside in his mouth. So but anyway, we know that he can't get up because he's given ketamine, so he can just move around, but he can't do anything. So but anyway, there was a scare for a time. So I think that's a funny story I can just narrate right now.
Okay, sir. So next, Dr. Sarma, would you like to say anything about it? Dr. Sarma? I think we have lost him. Dr. Malik, would you recall any funny story while working on field?
You want me to say something on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought Dr. Sarma has to come in because he must be
So,
having lots of funny stories about practice and like when he's working with the wild. In fact, there are lot many funny stories when we have been working with wild. In fact, a wild elephant, when we have been told that elephant with kind of displaced this kind of something, the animal is recumbent and cannot come up, and you have to see, though we have been taking precautions, but all of a sudden when it started running behind us, like kind of three people, we were just running and then moving apart. One of our partner, the scientist from there, he went into another direction, and to our surprise, he was just almost dashing into a big herd of elephants. So we had to almost midway collect him somewhere. Somehow, like the scene is you cannot just describe. Right now we are just talking like it's funny, but should not, it was not really that funny that time. But yeah, the only thing what I say is you can have lot many funny stories, but it's always fun to be working with the animals whenever you are talking about whatever practice you are talking about. It's not always funny, but it's fun based on like what you are treating. The animals which cannot explain their pains, their situation, their position, and you have to treat them. So it's really fun talking to these animals in that way. Over to Dr. Sharma, please.
funny stories. Dr. Sarma?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can
Hello.
hear you.
Some
Yes, sir.
audio problem was there. Actually, all my stories are very scary. Very few are really funny. I will just. You mentioned that funny, but again, it is funny, but at the same time, it is also scary. Like some years back, maybe 12 years back, a white tiger in Guwahati Zoo. It was an old tiger. I still remember its name was Sanjay. So he was stuck by the heat wave, and for 2 days continuously he was lying on the floor. Now the problem for the zoo veterinarian was how to approach him and what is the problem. So he thought that the tiger will die like that. But when it was still alive on third day, the zoo authority, they called me, and I went to near the cage, and I took a stick and touched the tiger, and seeing there was no response, I thought it is in a state of coma, and I just opened the gate and entered. And along with me, the zoo veterinary assistant and another handler, we entered, and we diagnosed that it was a heat stroke. Actually, the temperature and humidity was very high that time. So we have started treatment. We administered dexamethasone intravenously to begin with. Then we have given Ranger selected and fluid like that. So we are going on and oblivious of the status of the tiger, which was a mistake. But we never thought that the tiger will actually sit up in our presence. Then I was sitting on the belly side of the tiger, and the assistant was behind, and we were administering intravenous fluid. And to my horror, the tiger just sit up, like he raised the head, and for some moment I actually lost my nerve because his face was right in front of mine, and it was such a huge face, and my eyes also has gone to his huge paws, forelimbs, and I thought it is the end of me today. And the zoo assistant, he looked at the narrow gate, probably in an attempt, in a mood to run away through that, in a reflex. So I said, don't move, don't move. I thought that kind of a movement can provoke the tiger to make some advance. But maybe those moments looked like or felt like an eternity for me. Maybe it was just a minute or half a minute, but for some time the tiger sit, and I got so nervous. I don't know what was my heartbeat. And then again, for everyone's relief, the tiger again went down and slept. And immediately we just withdraw the intravenous fluid and set and everything, and move out of the enclosure. So that was a moment. I don't know, because if I look back, I don't know whether it was a mistake, because in such a state we cannot also administer a sedative. So what could have been done? Maybe we could have placed a physical restraint, though the tiger was appearing like in a state of coma or whatever. But I would suggest that even in that stage, application of some physical restraint would have been useful. So, or covering, his eyes were covered, but no physical restraint was used. So that was a funny experience for me. So thank you.
Dr. Prejit, do you have any such stories? Please let us know.
See, as an astronomy professor, I'm not going to share any such stories, but of course, as an astronomy professor, the most interesting part which you come across is your vivas. Okay, now final viva when you undertake to the students. But since my students are also watching, yeah, keeping it reserved. I think I'll go for the next question.
Yeah, if it is okay, then maybe one small story I can tell you that. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
I can take Dr. Prejit's time. Okay, so this is, I think, so this is related to a turtle which came to our hospital. One client brought it. And so we do surgery for exotic pets here in our hospital. So we have a almost 5-floor hospital. And so what happened? So our surgery room is on 2nd floor. So where we do surgery. And one of our Dr. Ramesh, he did surgery because the turtle fallen and the shell got fractured. So we have to repair it under general anesthesia. So under gas anesthesia, we repaired the shell for the fracture by putting the plates and all those things. And turtle recovers because their metabolic rate is very slow, so they take really long time to recover, like hours together actually. So we kept because we have cages which are for dogs and cats, so there is a you can say there is a space between those stainless steel kind of rods actually. And we kept that turtle covered and thought, okay, so let's go for lunch and other thing. And then probably once after 3-4 hours, when this had recovered, then we can hand over to the client. So after half an hour, 45 minutes, when we came back, so we couldn't find the turtle there in the case. So actually inside the case, then we kept the turtle into a box and we could not find the turtle. And so we searched on the 2nd floor, which is our surgery area. We searched because now turtle can go anywhere, because that's it's not a dog or cat, so because that can crawl anywhere. So we couldn't find. And we searching under the cages, under the counters, in the X-ray room, in every room. Then we went to the 1st floor. Maybe through that staircase it has gone down. Then maybe it has gone to any other room, or maybe it has fallen from the staircase. There we are searching in every part, and it took almost 2.5 hours, and the client is becoming very upset that time. And that's a responsibility, because where the turtle went actually, and we were searching that everywhere. And so, and our whole clinic almost has come to a standstill because everyone is searching the turtle and where it has disappeared. So then we started using our CCTV. So every room we are checking, maybe it has gone from here to there. Then we are asking the staff, okay, till what time you have seen that? So like this, we were trying to cross match that. And then in the last, after 3-4 hours search, we came to know so the turtle so how we came to know that the turtle has come out and they crawled to the staircase, and it was traveling down from the staircase like by falling and half drunken like. And I think one of the clients through the CCTV came to know, so he picked up the turtle and he put in the pocket and he went out. So that's something, and then we came to know through CCTV. Then we found somehow record of their client, and so the turtle went to his home. Then we had to go his home and bring it back, and we had to take a breath of relief actually. So so it's like that's another funny story which I can tell, that so which we never imagined, that turtle, because of those how the turtle can escape from that cage. Everything was closed, but we never ever thought about, yes, this can happen. So that's another situation. Thank you.
Anushka, next question.
Dr. Prejit, this one is for you. So what are the striking points noted in a CV when
Hello. Am I audible?
Sir?
I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Yes,
right.
sir.
I didn't hear the question. What's the striking point?
To be in the CV when applying to the public health sector.
Right. Okay. Yeah, actually, CV is the most important document that actually showcases your professional as well as academic activities. So it should be tailored in such a way that we are able to actually make employer impressive. Okay, that's fine. This particular student is good in this activities. So when it comes to some positions in epidemiology and public health, basically I'll just give you the basic structure. First of all, you'll be giving your name, right? Then your email ID. So once you give your email ID, I find the new generation people's email ID is very fancy. Like somebody's name is Rahul, to be like cool guy Rahul or something like that. So you just try to change the email ID to make it somewhat professional, like Dr. Rahul or something like that, so that it looks professional. So yeah, that's one point. And you try to give your details in a crisp, just like an advertisement. You just give a crisp and summarized manner, all the informations in a bulleted points. So in a CV, once you give your introductory remarks, then you have to give about your academic qualifications. What are the, whether if you are starting from a BVSC, if you are a BVSC candidate, means you should start from +2 level to BVSC. Likewise, if you are a PhD, you can avoid the plus 12 standard marks and other things. You can directly start with your BVSC program. You need to highlight your marks and other things. Then comes your experiences, if you have any experiences in working in some firms. Then comes your achievements. What are the series of achievements you have achieved over a period of years. Then your what participated in any trainings or any conferences. All those things actually carries some weightages. So when you're applying for some positions like assistant professor positions, or if it is ARS scientist positions, they already have a grading pattern. They give particular score for some articles which are say suppose NAS rated above 4 or something like that. So you need to modulate yourself that you have a good publications, you have a good experiences in working in some reputed firms. Then you have a series of awards, if at all you have some poster award or winning some presentation awards. So that and all should be highlighted, and it should be in a crisp format, not beyond 2 or 3 pages, because usually they don't get time to read entire resume. They just go to the main highlighted points. So I think this I can suggest for building your CV. Yeah.
Pawan sir,
Can
could you
I jump
add
into
something
it,
to that?
Kushi?
Yes, sir. Yes,
In
sir.
fact,
Absolutely. Hello.
sorry, I jumped into
No,
it
sir. It's fine. It's fine.
without asking. But my point is, when you have got a formal kind of a situation to present your CV, basically some of the organizations give you a format to present your CV into that. So it's nothing very important, like you go according to a format. But when it is not there, in fact, for every single job, you have to create a new CV based on what is expected out of you in that particular organization. what is your job responsibilities, what is the job profile. So based on that, probably you highlight those points initially with a more formal kind of mechanism or system, so that people who are looking for a specific kind of a person in a specific field can understand, like you have got this kind of thing. So every application need to be redesigned for a specific purpose based on what the job profile is and what actually makes you fit for that particular job. Some of those applications explicitly wants you to explain why you are fit for that job. Some do not. But the applications where it's not clear, you don't have to explain why you are fit. You have to give that kind of context into the application itself, why you are fit for that job, why you consider yourself really suitable for that particular job, and explain, like if you are applying for a job in Dr. Pawan's clinics and he is looking for a surgeon, basically what he'll be looking for a surgery kind of thing rather than having a BVSC, a gold medal or whatever. So it can be a gold medalist, but no experience or no performance in surgeries. Probably he'll not look into further details of your CV at all. But in case he is looking for a good surgeon to look into a small animal surgery, you say, I have performed so many things with the NGOs, which may not be very important if you are applying to me in my microbiology project on the same side. So it has to be like how you basically manipulate your own CV to come up to a particular situation and explain what you can do in that. Over to you, Dr. Pawan, sir.
Okay, I think Dr. Praveen, that's very, very valid informations and preparatory, kind of things which you're telling that it should be this. But now I can only give from my experience, the way we do it. If you probably see our website, so we have actually a job portal there, and exactly like for every, whether it's a veterinary assistant or it's a veterinary surgeon or it's a clinician, so we have made a kind of so maybe we are using a little more digital method actually, so where whatever our requirements are there, I don't know whether how good it works in government sector, but we have made a kind of portal where they upload their details, like, so we have a set of questions. So otherwise what happens, you spend quite a bit of time having an interview and reading those things, but you first put your requirement, what you're looking for, and those questions you put it to that particular, related to the job, and those guys, whoever is applying, he has to keep answering those. And then we see very important thing is, like, because we deal with the client, so client communication, his interest, his futuristic approach, what's his long-term plan, what's his short-term plan. So these questions we ask him before only, but and plus we see how good communication. So we made some kind of system where he has to record his audio, like some cases, like, so we'll give him question that please record 2 of your cases. So by that we come to know how good his communication, how comfortable he is, and it speaks about how good he will deal with the clients also. And of course he has to upload his kind of whatever professional resume and other thing, but for us it matters what we need actually from him, and we put into a very systematic way, and then he gives those requirements, so we review it before kind of even calling for an interview. So what happened, it save your time, whether you really should invest energy further to bring him into the saving your time and his time also, whether because he might be a microbiology guy, but he's probably interested into diagnostic and culture sensitivity and maybe on those things. But once you see through his communications and his interest and long-term plan, you basically modify yourself and then go there. But yes, we exactly as Dr. Malik mentioned, so we should have a resume or a requirement for the job as per that person, and then make your questions and everything before, so that he gives you in a prepared way, and you judge how honest and true he is. That is, you have to use your skill and knowledge and everything to come out to that, and then we make a decision and further we should go or not. So this is how the approach we keep it actually. So prepare it with the right questions for him. So I think that's something we do it in our practice.
This is very helpful for us. So now the next question is for Dr. Malik. When it comes to large animal practices in India, what is the current situation with respect to the veterinary research versus the clinical practice, and which scope is better for the future for the students?
See, both the things are there. I told you in the beginning, large animal practice largely go with the government sector, and laboratory support is a must in the at least the infectious diseases part. But in fact, my way of working in the large animal, or for that matter, any other thing, is to go with the holistic approach. So it means you have to understand the complete system. It's not only the animal or the disease, but you have to understand the ecosystem in which the animal is there. And then why this disease is happening. You know, the disease by definition says what's not healthy. It means if it is not comfortable with the environment. So you have to understand the kind of feeding or the nutritional level kind of breeding system, the genetic disease it has got. Can you hear me, Kushal?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you, but it's
Okay.
cracking in the
I
middle.
thought there was a. Yeah, I thought. So, in fact, it has to be a complete holistic approach when you are basically dealing with the large animals specifically. So, and when specifically talking about the infectious diseases, so you have to think about whether you are dealing with a preventable disease where you can take some preventive strategies also, including not only the vaccines. Generally, when we say preventive strategies, we generally focus only on vaccines. We have got other things to consider, including the farm biosecurities, the kind of animal movement restrictions, kind of vector control, and other things. So you have to be considering all those factors in totality so that you can have the right kind of approach in treating or preventing that disease in a population. So then you have to think about whether you're talking about a single animal or you are talking about the animals in population. So it has to be an epidemiological approach, or it has to be a rather specific clinical approach. So the clinical approach, then in case you consider, then you go for what kind of symptoms it is showing and what kind of laboratory support you can have, the kind of things you are being taught in your medicine classes about diagnosis, differential diagnosis, and all those things. So those steps in field, it cannot be more theoretical, but practical, pragmatic approach has to be there so that you can understand what kind of diagnosis you are talking about. You are talking about whether the treatment can go from one diagnosis to the other in the same way. The line of treatment has to be the same. Probably you may not go for the differential diagnosis right at the time of treatment, but definitely at the time of reporting, because this communication to the center of your services, even if you are doing in a private one, infectious diseases are very important to be reported to the system. And this reporting system has to have a definitive diagnosis, whether you are, for example, I tell you one example. When I was working with glanders, I had come across a case of an animal, a mule, having nodules throughout its body. From first instance, it was looking like a cutaneous case of glanders, which you call as farsi, right? So when we saw somebody before us had already taken a malign test in one of the eyes, and it was declared as positive. They repeated the test within a week and in the second eye, and they say it is positive. When you have got two positive malign tests, you have got nodules throughout the body, the animals is not responding to the common antibiotics. The first simple diagnosis is, anybody can say it's glanders, right? It's not really very common disease, but it's very deadly disease. To my surprise, when I investigated this particular case, it was not glanders. It was a simple case of what we call it atypical strangles. In terminology, sometimes we find a term called bastard strangles in the books. So that strangles is because we could isolate the streptococcus organism in the pure form. I started treating after having the antibiotic sensitivity, and I could treat the animals within a month, and I followed that animal for almost a year with negative maline, negative CFT, negative ELISA, and all other things. So it means like you have to have that kind of laboratory support and understanding. Just not go by your kind of first impression. First impression is just to look into the symptomatic or syndromic approach, but to definitely go for a complete set of your diagnosis with the laboratory support wherever possible. Now there are lots many laboratories are there. So basically, it's you cannot say whether the laboratory portion is good or the practice portion is good. You have to have both the things in balance. And in field what I say is in the laboratory side, it's not in the private sector right now very much in India. So you have to go into the government sector only when it comes to the laboratory support for the large animal practice. Now slowly the things are coming up, and we hope more labs will be helping the private sector or the government sector in large animal practice, and probably this field is growing, and we need to see whether it's really be a field of choice for the veterinarians where they can earn a lot also on their livings out of this particular profession in laboratory practice. So probably this is how I think about this particular field in large animal practice and the laboratory support.
Okay, sir. Now we have questions from our live audience. And the first question is for Dr. Pawan Kumar. For all those interested in specialization in one aspect of their MVSC, for example, cardiology or dentistry or orthopedic surgery, where can they get their training from, and what are the requirements for it?
Okay, so that's a good question. So if they're thinking about the clinical sector, so there's two way of approaching. The first thing, as I think we discussed before, the first part is if they're thinking about the career, first thing they should focus more about becoming a general physicians and about the general practice and about the general medicine and internal medicine questions. Then comes about the specialization. So there is a two way of specialization they can do. Unfortunately, in India, so far the specialization courses for anything is there, but like for example, we have specialization like masters in veterinary surgery and radiology, or master in. So whenever the student they are thinking about like going into the clinical practice, so 3-4 specializations which works in India is one of them is like a surgery and radiology. So they can from a rat to elephant, or everything he has to learn there. That's one thing. Then comes about medicines or gynecology or clinical pathology. So these are or laboratory medicine. So these are the subject which in India is there, and then you can study and you can practice. So this is one level of specialization which is possible in India. Then comes about a different level of specialization. If they want to go for a little more detail, like for example in orthopedic they want to do it, or you want to do in cardiology. So there are certain courses are run, by different universities abroad, and they do it actually. So that is can be done like in oncology they do it, cardiology they do it, and they have different level like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then they give even a kind of certificates or diploma and other things also, like ESVS. European College of Veterinary Surgery, they do it actually. Apart from that, North American small animal associations, they give courses actually about that part. And then apart from that, even Edinburgh University, Glasgow University, they also do it, these kind of short courses, and even sometime you can do specialization from there. But it's not as easy as I'm saying it, because you need to go through lots of channel, and every university has a different kind of requirement for that. Yeah, but there are some private, or you can say some organizations which are running, like for example you are interested in oncology, so for that you don't need to go through these channel, and there are like level 1, level 2, level 3, and there are different institute. If they're really interested, they can share their mail, I can send it to them. So they do those specializations like a 1-month course, and then again certain number of cases you have to kind of present it actually, and then they take you to the level 2 and level 3. Like in our clinic and our hospital, we planning for our different clinicians actually that for this kind of thing. And these are not longer courses, like some are 2 weeks or 3 weeks, some are 1 month or 2 months. So certain are a theoretical part which you need to do it here, and some is like a on the spot, on the job kind of training which you need to go there and then do it, that part. And but those are done by basically by a kind of institute, like a small scale kind of thing, and they give a diploma and other thing. But the important question comes whether you are looking for a degree part, or you are looking for the important thing comes whether you're looking for actual application for that. If you're thinking about actual application, then these courses are really good actually, that. And even in India, some doctors, I probably put one name like Dr. Hatekar is there, who is from Pune, and he's doing wonderful job actually. So he brings like a short-term courses actually, and he does that, and for like 5 days or 6 days, like orthopedic level 1 actually, so where the basics and other things. Or then he calls those experts actually next year, then again they do the level 2, then level 3, like in ophthalmology and other things. He's doing pretty good job actually, that. And that's one thing, and where our staff also attended quite a bit of his these workshops and seminars and other thing. And apart from that, there is in OT also, if they just want to learn about the basics of spayings and other things, so they also do a short-term course there in India, and just giving options to them, that can be done. So I think it's so there are multiple options are there if they want to do specializations, but as in India, there's only some basic specialization like surgery, gynecology, internal medicine, or clinical pathology or laboratory medicine. They can do it. But yeah, these are the options which are available, and they can avail it actually, that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So now we have some questions for Dr. Sarma, and the viewers want to ask if you could tell us any colleges for wildlife medicine course in abroad, and are there, apart from the elephants, are there any other conservation centers or hospitals that provide the opportunity for the vets to work?
If you talk about a higher study center on wildlife, immediately the Royal Veterinary College comes to my mind, because that is a veterinary degree. That is a MSc in wildlife, but actually that is a veterinary degree, because there are degrees in some institutes which are not primarily a veterinary degree. Then specifically on elephant, in Thailand, we have the Chiang Mai University, where they have courses on elephant healthcare and managerial practices, including research and forensics, like that. So primarily these two institutes are there. And in India, of course, I have already mentioned that for MVSC in wildlife, then we have the Madras Veterinary College, Jabalpur Veterinary College. Even in Kerala, I think Wayanad, they have a wildlife MVSC in wildlife. And I'm told that there are, even Gujarat also they have, so 14 or 15 colleges, they have MVSC in wildlife. Right now, that is the situation.
So in Kerala, it is MSc in wildlife, sir. MSc.
MSc in wildlife, but basically for the veterinarians. But I'm told other
Yeah,
courses
they can join. Yeah.
can also join. But Madras Veterinary College and Jabalpur, they are specifically for, these are MVSC in wildlife. And
Yeah.
I mentioned you the proposed Assam Institute of Wildlife Health and Research. This will also be MVSC degree. But here there will be diversified, like MVSC also. There will be in clinical aspect, there will be laboratory, there will be forensics, like that. So there will be, I think, 4 different wings, and the degrees will be offered accordingly.
Yes,
Right?
so we also had questions about the conservation of animals other than elephants, like where can the vets get the opportunity to work, and they also wanted to know about what work they can do with respect to the gharials and wolves in MVSC, if you have some advice about that pertaining to the scope in India. Dr. Sarma?
part question I left. Can you hear me, Susi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I personally run sabbatical. Like quite every year, I get students from US or other countries. They come for sabbatical. They spend, say, as per their requirement, they spend 1 month or 15 days with me, and their special requirement mostly for elephant healthcare, and primarily, as Dr. Pawan Kumar has said, working as assistant to a veterinary surgeon or a senior. So most of these students are not doctors; they are second-year students or third-year veterinary students, and they come work as sabbatical and they return with a certificate. And regarding other opportunities in India, we have facilities like, say, for example, in Assam, we have a pygmy hog conservation breeding program. Pygmy hog is a highly endangered animal, and the total wild population is less than 200. So, Laurel initiative, it's International Union for Conservation of Nature, conservation breeding program is going on, and veterinarians can come and get attached to that. Then, for example, similarly, you have the vulture conservation breeding program going on under the Bombay Natural History Society, and their first center was in Chandigarh, then second center in West Bengal, North Bengal, third center in Assam. So there also the veterinarians can come and work maybe for a month or so. Then there are NGOs like Wildlife Trust of India, and in near Kaziranga they have a CWRC rescue center where a lot of wildlife is handled, particularly during the flood season, and a center is there, and students can get attachment to those institutes and have first-hand experience of wildlife healthcare and management.
Thanks, sir. Our next question is for Dr. Prejit. Sir, you have won Best Paper Award and Young Scientist Award, and also have been awarded the Outstanding One Health Surveillance Award. Can you give us some tips for winning awards like the Best Poster Award?
Yeah, of course. No, I didn't win so many awards and all. It's just I just ensured my participation in most of the conferences, just to interact with our peers and keep contact with professional level. And in that chance, some awards I did win. But yeah, of course, you wanted to know like what are the tips you want for poster presentations, right? Yeah, actually, recently
Yes, sir.
I've been judges for a few poster panels recently because during the COVID season, and what I find is that generally the undergrads students, they have two way of looking to the poster presentation. That is, they generally either there is one set of students who just immediately after poster means they think of putting one big picture and one particular small theme over it. That is one particular group of students, and another set of students, they congest everything, or I don't want to miss this point, I don't want to miss this, everything will be put on that particular poster, and the poster entire poster will look very congested. So to avoid that, the basic manner in which we do a poster presentation is that we need to concentrate on two aspects, that is either the script or what is called the content, and second the design. So whenever I think about the content, if it is a scientific poster, we have already a set patterns like introduction, materials and method, results, discussion, conclusion. And if we have some important graphs or images, we need to put it there. But when it comes to a general purpose poster, what I would suggest is that you have to concentrate on the script part in a bulleted forms. Okay, that is someone who is able to read the poster and able to grasp some important points from the poster. That is, if I'm walking over a particular path and if I look at all the posters, your poster should have some appealing features in it. So for that appealing features, you need to include one or two catching images. Like for example, if it is a rabies, means you can a particular dog biting a particular human being with the mouth open, and people will start looking. Okay, there's some information over there. So that if you're going to convey it, you need to put it into a bulleted forms. And once you put it into a bulleted forms, the next part is what is your contribution towards the poster. Okay, so we don't generally look for so many colors in the posters, and all. It could be a color which is soothing to the eyes, and we need to include what is your contribution. Like, for example, to control a particular disease, we need to adopt so and so procedures. So that should be in your own words, rather not copied from any textbooks or anything, and it should be concisely and precisely given in a particular poster. Yeah, so these are the important tips which I can give it to you. And the major tip is you have to participate in a poster. Don't worry about winning the awards. Award is all secondary. It's not at all an important thing to get an award, but participation is very important, because by participation, even if losing a particular award, the resistance which you get to participate in the next conference, now that itself is a big award. What I feel. So I ensure that you people should all participate in particular poster presentation and give your 100% to it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Now we'll have our concluding question. If we could have like one line of motivation and guidance from you, because all of you must have mentored several students. So would we start with Dr. Malik?
Yeah, at this stage, probably uh, starting our journey from student to the field veterinarian, to the veterinarian in the slaughterhouse, to a wildlife veterinarian, coming to a researcher, to the administration, looking at the biologicals. Probably some of the fields are not really very well aware in the normal curriculum what we are studying, including the biologicals. So my point can be, when you talk about a takeaway message kind of thing, is basically look into the fields with your passion. What you are feeling have not been touched. For example, I tell you, if I am talking to people who have already studied microbiology, if I'll ask them, have you studied the development or the production of veterinary biologicals, a vaccine? How will you go for the quality control of those vaccines? You have never been taught. But that's a field probably you can enter into and can really earn a lot as your career. Second thing is what we are talking about is generally clinical or the paraclinical as a laboratory support. But we are not talking about the communication strategies. My point is you have to have a communication mechanism or kind of strength. So you can apply your complete science or the complete knowledge into this communication process in your international organizations, including FAO, OIE, or sometimes even WHO. So you can enter into different fields using your communication skills into of your veterinary sciences. It's not general English communication or it's not any other thing, but I am talking about a communication about your veterinary skills. And the third one, which is getting more important, is use of AI. It's not artificial insemination, it's artificial intelligence I'm talking about. And the machine learning or the IoT, Internet of Things, and their usage in terms of telemedicine. Kind of applications, if you can talk about, you can talk to your engineering counterparts and come up with solutions with simple thinking.
I can't hear.
These simple thinkings.
Is there any problem of audio or?
So I think that is connection issue on your side, because we all can hear Dr. Praveen Malik.
So basically, you have to consider not only the general routine kind of things. The important thing is how to talk about the biosafety and farm biosecurity or the preventive strategy I'm talking about. It's not about the animal itself. It's what Dr. Prejit has to speak about One Health. You have to talk about the complete ecosystem so that you can have the animal in a healthy condition. And to us, for a large animal, for the livestock, we need to talk about the increasing productivity or that kind of system. So probably this holistic approach of breeding, feeding, and health, along with the prevention of diseases and those systems of biosecurity, biosafety, laboratory support, use of IoT, end-to-end solutions you have to think about, and from there you can think about what your intervention could be. So the best thing from your part is to understand the complete significance of veterinary science as such. It's not that you are talking about a science which is inferior to anything. Should I tell you that from my third year, I am teaching the medical students my microbiology part, because we are so strong in infectious diseases. We are basically ruling over the complete medical fraternity on infectious diseases part. So you are so strong in your sciences, so apply those science with all other sciences together. It's not only the biological science, it's also the mathematical sciences in modeling and forecasting. It's also the engineering sciences in terms of kind of biomedical engineering, so that you can have better equipment useful for your practices. You can also talk about the application of internets and internet of things, IoTs, we talk about, and the communication skills together. So it's like you have to develop yourself as such in a holistic manner, so that when you come to application of your veterinary sciences into the field for a particular sector, you should be able to apply all of them together in a wonderful way, and you will be successful, no doubt. Your passion has to go around with you, and that's where from from a field veterinarian to the chief veterinary officer of the country, when I traveled this journey of mine, I could find, yes, this is very, very important for me, right? So similarly, all students in the veterinary sciences can come up really strongly with wonderful knowledge and experiences, and using the complete set of knowledge, starting from their 12th knowledge to whatever they have come up to UG or PG or even PhD or super specialization we are talking about. They can utilize this complete knowledge in a holistic manner, so that they can be successful in their career. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best in your careers. And we hope to be in touch for future support in case something is required from the government side. I'm sitting here right now on the topmost position here in India. So whatever support is there for the students or for anything, I'm there for you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Sarma, would you like to give us one sentence for the whole for everybody here? One advice.
Can you hear me, Kushi?
Yes, sir, we can
I
hear
have
you.
some audio problem just now. I will really say a one-liner. Actually, many of our students, even in the past or present, they come to the veterinary profession as a second choice, not as a first choice. Some of my friends, they have already said, I wanted to become a medical doctor or an engineer. And you will be happy to know I wanted to become a veterinarian. So though I got a seat in medical or engineering or everywhere, I opted for veterinarian. And today, at this stage, I think that it was a good decision. It was not a bad decision, definitely. And our veterinary professionals, they should believe that the veterinary is one of the best profession from where they can also they can serve, they can earn, and they can be happy. So they should always believe that they are a part of the best profession. So they should give their best. They should acquire skill and have a mind to serve the society, and that will give them happiness and a sense of fulfillment. That is my suggestion.
Dr. Kumar?
What would you guys
Thank you. So first of all, I think it's a great platform that you all students are doing wonderful, I think, job here, and I think it's a great initiative by you all student, and I think it's whichever the way and whichever the angle we can support you, we can help you. And I think you all are the budding veterinarians in all the field, whether it's a research, whether it's a clinical sector, it's a wildlife, and you are going to bring the new future of India, and we all depends upon you. We'll support you wherever we can, and we will do it more than what you can expect actually in this angle. And as far as all whoever the audience, and I don't know whether they are still listening and hearing or they slept, so I don't know. But I probably would like to say that this is the time for you all student, and you are a new generation, you are millennials actually, and it's a time for you to wake up and sleep little less than what you are doing right now. Focus more. The very important thing which you should focus on 3P, which I can tell you that the first thing comes about is focus on planning, because we did this mistake. We planned when we did the graduations, and I will probably advise you that you can be 5 years ahead of us and you can say 5 years. So plan right now what you want to do it for future, and then focus on preparation for that plan. So do the planning, do the preparations, and very most important quality, if you can start practicing from right now, that is persistence is one quality which I will advise you that if you can start practicing it, this is one quality which will take you a long way. Small things keep adding into your career, into your knowledge and your experience every day, and at the end of the 5 years you will have a huge potential about yourself. So I think the planning, preparation and persistence, these three you can say the kind of qualities which I'll advise you, if you can inculcate and start from today, you will have a better, and after the 5 years, and you will have a great futures. And I'm sure that you will have be budding veterinarians, and we will see a better future for Indian veterinary. And I think we bank upon you on that. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity to speak here and meet and see physically and maybe digitally all the learned people and you budding veterinarians for India. Thank you.
The pleasure is all ours, sir. Dr. Prejit, would you please tell us?
Thank you.
Yeah, before I start, I like to thank, you people are really doing wonderful jobs, bringing all of us together in one particular platform and interacting. And I know I do understand that I think 2 or 3 days protocol has been going on for the past 2 days. You people have called some experts from international, and now from almost all the important subjects in veterinary have been covered. I think today probably is the last day, I think. So I'd like to thank you, Kushi and Anushka, and even some from behind. Many people are acting. I think one Roshni is there who is constantly keeping on interacting with us. So thank you all for inviting us. And also I'm happy to share the stage with renowned experts like Praveen sir and Kushal sir, Pawan and all. It's an honor for me to be with you all. Yeah, Pradeep is there. Hi, Pradeep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so just a takeaway message is that we don't try to move away from your comfort zone. We all are kept enclosed in some comfort zones. Like we like to be in Maharashtra, means you don't feel like moving away from Maharashtra. So be away from the comfort zone for maybe for 1 or 2 years, and then you realize the real peaceful life which you want to take. Because naturally, we all are by definition, just as we passed out from veterinary, we have the day one competency with you. So you are a veterinarian, you are a doctor by the end of your BVSC program. So I would wish you all the very success in your future career, and keep in contact with us. I would like to thank IVSC India, and also this my one IVSC POOKODE unit and all the students who are watching this particular program for inviting me and sharing the stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We all are very grateful that you could take time and come here, tell us so much. So now I would just ask our president of IVSC India, Pradyuman, to say a few lines.
Very good evening to all. Good evening to our panelists, Dr. Praveen Malik, Dr. Kushal, Konwar, Sarma, Dr. Pawan Kumar, and Dr. Prejit. I would like to express my gratitude to our evening panelists for taking time out of their busy schedule to share and guide the budding veterinarians on the various career aspects in the veterinary field. I am Pradyum Devaya, President of IVSA India for the year 2020-2021. With the ongoing pandemic has given us a wonderful time to learn about our field in even more depth. With the help of our 12 panelists over the 2 days, for which me and our organization IVSA India is very grateful. Our panelists have surely cleared most of the doubts and inspired the students to explore the veterinary field. Not only the doubts, but the experience that they have shared has motivated us to become best in the field we choose. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the members of IVSA India. One, Khushi, our senior exchange officer, for spearheading this event. Roshni for smoothly conducting among our panelists. Kshitij for handling the platform and making the event go smooth. Nidhi for a creative writing and coming up with the creative captions. Indraneel for the beautiful poster that he and his team have created. And also Pradeep for handling the registrations. And also the members who are not, I may have not mentioned, but their support was very valuable for this event. Without the constant support of our local MOs, we wouldn't have been able to have our first national event. So I would like to express my gratitude to our local MOs for their help and constant dedication towards this event. Thank you to the audience for being part of a panel discussion and helped it in making this event a success. I hope to see everyone once again and hope everyone stays healthy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists, for being here. We cannot express our gratitude. It's just immense. Thank you so much. With this, we would like to end our. Thank you. This is the end of our VetSetGo event, the 2-day panel discussion amongst 12 of our esteemed panelists. And we are thankful for all the panelists, to everybody over here, you viewers who have been here and who have been with us throughout the panel discussion. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone.